Hello, my name is Alyssa Brown, and this is my midterm project on childhood educational experiences, navigating identity, inequality, and resilience in the classroom. Um, First, personal introductions. This little about me. I am a junior at the illustrious NCCU. I am passionate about developing programs for children who are sensory sensitive or have sensory preferences. I am a later in life student, so right now the focus for me is not only graduating but also having a healthy work-life balance. We'll be going over 4 sections in the agenda. The first is intelligence testing. The second is mental and psychological well-being. The third is neighborhood and child development. The fourth is cultural responsive classrooms. And the last two will be the program and some questions to think over. The first slide will be going over intelligence testing. Intelligence testing, according to Guthrie, was an important factor perpetuating scientific racism. During the first part of the 20th century, Binet and Spearman's work contributed to scientific racism in that intelligence testing was used to show intellectual differences between blacks and whites. Early intelligence tests were based on Eurocentric norms, often ignored the cultural background of African American children, and often leading to inaccurate results. Like their European counterparts, American scientists also conducted research to support the intellectual inferiority of African Americans. Sign of this is in the bell curve by Heinstein and Murray. The bell curve suggests that intelligence differs amongst racial groups and that African Americans are at the lowest of the bell curve. This is dangerous because intelligence testing of African American youth continues to be the debated topic, especially considering that African American children are overrepresented in special education for intellectual disabilities. Graves and Nichols. Section 2, we are talking about mental and psychological well-being. In a study on race-related stress and life satisfaction among 247 African Americans, Jill Scott and Reynolds and Todman examined 3 types of race-related stress: individual, institutional, and cultural. Race-related stress was measured using a scale developed by UTSI. Racism affects psychological well-being of children, adolescents, as well as adults. Press et al. A study was conducted basically on African American children, Latino children, and Asian children from 12 to 18 on racial discrimination and well-being. Studies showed higher levels of resilience, self-worth, psychological adaptation, psychological adjustment, and social and adaptive function were associated with less reported racism and discrimination, and anxiety, depression, negative self-esteem were associated with higher levels of discrimination. Black children are often faced with direct and indirect forms of racial discrimination in schools, which can negatively affect their mental health, self-esteem, and sense of belonging. Negative stereotypes like the belief that Black children are less capable can lead toward lower academic expectations, which can in turn impact self-confidence and motivation. In section 3, we talk about neighborhood and child development outcomes. Neighborhood conditions such as pollution, overcrowding, and unsafe housing can negatively affect physical health, which is closely linked to cognitive and emotional development, though despite the challenges presented by higher risk neighborhoods, several researchers have explored the potential role that parenting has on buffering or countering these risks. For example, some parents are effective in using community bridging parenting styles. These styles encompass 3 different types of strategies: youth monitoring, resource seeking, and in-home learning. This is an extra slide for learning styles, relational and analytical. Many African American students naturally gravitate towards relational learning, which aligns with cultural values like emphasizing community, collaboration, and oral traditions. For African American students with analytical tendencies, culturally inclusive classrooms that can both recognize individual and group learning can help them succeed. Some examples of relational learning are students working in a group to solve a problem, giving students the opportunity to provide their immediate response to a problem. And some examples of analytical learning are students working independently to solve a problem and asking students to focus on a major issue or a problem. Cultural responsive classrooms are our 4th and final section. So a cultural responsive teacher or teaching is defined by Gay as using cultural characteristics, experiences, and perspectives of ethically diverse students as conduits for teaching them more effectively. Culturally responsive environments might allow students to move about and express themselves more freely. Cartel et al. Recommended that African American students who have a higher level of being and expression be assigned to teachers who engage culturally in cultural responsive teaching, and those who are not proficient in cultural responsive teaching are to be supported and develop their skills in the area. Khalif, Gooden, and Davis highlight the importance of cultural responsive leadership, emphasizing that this leadership must be responsive. Cultural responsive leadership includes school leaders who are action-oriented, and who have the ability to create school context and curriculum that is effective with educational, social, political, and cultural needs of the students. The name of my program is the Empower and Elevate program. The goals of this program are to provide holistic and supportive environment for African American children, empowering children to embrace and navigate their unique identities, providing nurturing personal growth, instilling confidence, and promoting academic success, implementing cultural relevant curriculum, mentorship, and community engagement, and providing a positive and empowering educational experience for African American children. The structure of this program are for children between the ages of 6 and 14. This is to be flexible though. The duration of this program is 1 school year, with each segment taught over 2 to 3 months in monthly or bi-weekly workshops. Session 1, the objective is to explore historical impact of intelligence testing on African American children and discuss modern approaches to ensure fair testing. Workshop topics are the history and bias of intelligence tests against African American students, understanding the impact of cultural bias assessments, and educational opportunities, modern, equitable approaches to intelligence testing, and strategies for parents and educators to advocate for fair testing and provide support. Some of the activities will be student sessions that empower students with self-advocacy to address unfair treatment in testing environments, and also parent workshops that are to educate parents on administration of the intelligence tests, interpreting their results for themselves, and advocating for their child in case of bias. Hopefully the outcome of this first session will be parents and students gain awareness of historical context of intelligent testing and are able to identify and challenge any biases encountered during the testing. Session 2's objective is the aim is to concentrate on fostering mental health resilience, emotional regulation, and establishing a support system for African Americans within the school environment. Some of the topics will be mental health hurdles encountered by African American students in schools, emphasizing significance of mental health support, such as therapy, school counselors, and peer support, developing emotional resilience and coping strategies for handling stress, microaggressions, and discriminations, and exploring the role of parents, caregivers, and the community in creating an environment that promotes mental well-being. Hopefully the outcome of this session will be students will acquire coping mechanisms to deal with mental health challenges and enhance emotional resilience, while parents and educators will be empowered with strategies to bolster mental well-being. Session 3. So I'm gonna power through this a little bit because I did not know it was going this long. Sorry. Okay, so I will give you the objective and the outcome and we'll power through. So the objective is to examine the impact of environmental factors, particularly neighborhood and socioeconomic status, and the development of academic performances of African American children. Hopefully, the outcome will be students will gain an understanding of how their environment affects their development and will learn how to utilize community resources and support networks to overcome those challenges. Some of the activities will be like a community mapping exercise and a mentorship program. Session 4 is the fourth and final session. The objective is to develop a framework for culturally responsive teaching practices that benefit African American students by validating their cultural identities and learning styles. The outcome will hopefully be teachers gain the tools to create more inclusive, culturally affirming classrooms, environments, while students feel more connected to the material, enhancing engagement and academic performance. And here are some reflective questions for you. I will read through those quickly. The first one is, how can intelligence testing impact societal perceptions of different forms of intelligence, and what are the potential advantages and disadvantages of this impact? Question 2, in what ways do societal expectations and pressures affect individuals' mental health, and how can these effects be alleviated? Question 3, what is the influence of neighborhood characteristics, such as socioeconomic status and community resources on child development and educational outcomes? Question 4 is, how might educators successfully incorporate cultural responsive teaching practices to support students from diverse backgrounds without perpetuating stereotypes and biases? Thank you, everybody, for joining me today on my presentation. I enjoyed having you. Sorry, it did run long.